Now it's time for a second session of the day on building a brand while bootstrapping by Dave, Chief Strategy Officer, Socialistics. But before that, for the audience who just joined, I would like to invite our Senior Manager, Strategic Partnership, Karandeep Sodhi, back to give a quick overview of the company. Over to you, Karandeep.
Bharati, again, it's an honor to have me introduce Kiwi Tech to our esteemed audience today. So just allow me a second and let me know whenever you can see my screen. Again, thank you for the opportunity to again let me introduce Kiwi Tech to our audience members as well today. And I guess so. Kiwi Tech is a global community of innovators, investors, mentors, enterprises, and corporate communities. Now, today we are an ecosystem of more than 500 portfolio organizations, closing to 600. And over the past decade, we managed to build a network of more than 3,000 investors, comprising of majorly angel investors, but we also have a lot of VCs and family offices as a part of the network. Now, till date, we've helped raise about close to 120 million US dollars in terms of, for our partnering founders through the investor network that we built. And we also have more than 200 mentors. Majority of them are from the investor network, but there are a lot of founders who've had successful exits in their industries. The whole idea is to just help support early stage founders with the challenges that they face. Kiwi Tech also invests tech services in exchange for equity, supporting early stage founders, providing them a better run rate for the tech dollars that they have in the bank. Until date, we've invested more than 100 million US dollars in tech services as an investment. And all of this has been possible through the networking annual events that we do. We host around more than 100 events on an annual basis, which averages about 2 to 3 events on a weekly basis. Now, if I talk about the roadmap, before Kiwi Tech, the founders of Kiwi Tech had already scaled a content technology company called ATTRIBUTION, and they, to a 5,000 employee organization, had a pre-successful exit of 144 million US dollars. Now, after our inception in 2013, we also launched, our demo days, and we were hosting events all around the US, around 15 cities in the US, in Toronto and Qatar as well. And we had already become, an ecosystem of more than 100 portfolio companies. Now, in 2019, we launched our Startup 808 series, the Entrepreneur Workshop, the one that we're hosting today as well, and had already expanded to the Middle East region. Now, in the past 2 years, we've evolved into an ecosystem of more than 500 portfolio companies. As I mentioned, we host around 100 events on an annual basis. We even acquired a New York-based organization for account and finance support to the early stage founders within the ecosystem, and launched our go-to-market and crowdfunding services within the last 2 years. Now, there are already 3 acquisitions in pipeline, and we're also targeting at least 100 portfolio companies to exit at a minimum of 100 million US dollars. Now, we as an ecosystem are actually evolving into a 1,000 plus portfolio, ecosystem by 2024 as well. Now, the capabilities that Kiwi Tech has starts with the technology services, as technology development services, where we do have more than 500 engineers who are all in-house on a payroll. Now, they've built more than 1,500 products till now, and do understand the challenges that an early stage founder faces with the product development as well. We also have technical due diligence, and as I mentioned, for finance and accounting support, we acquired a New York-based organization called Graphite Financial. They specifically work with VC-backed early to growth stage founders and organizations, and of course help with their tax and bookkeeping, and with the cap table, etc. So we provide events as a service, as an external event, such as startup pitch events, workshops, innovation hackathons, investor summits, and conferences. Now, we do understand that there is a support required for a founder to take the product from an MVP stage to, say, a commercial launch or a post-revenue stage. Now, we also have in-house marketing team to support you with your go-to-market strategies as well. And in terms of crowdfunding, we partnered with vFunder and Start Engine to provide that additional benefit in terms of strategizing your crowdfunding campaigns as well. As I mentioned, events have taken a center stage in our ecosystem, and we host a variety of events, categorizing them into community specific, or say region, industry, or even the stage of your business. And yes, this helps making all the events very relevant for the investors and the founders to actually find relevant deal flow, good deal flow within the ecosystem, because that is the kind of responsibility we do hold towards both investors and the founders. But today, I welcome you all to our 808 Startup Entrepreneurs Workshop Series. And as I mentioned, I'd really like to thank George and Dave for their time and for the insightful knowledge that they're sharing as mentors. So I really hope you're as excited as we are bringing this event to you. So back to the team. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to invite Dave to start with his session on building a brand while bootstrapping.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to be here today. I've known about Kiwi Tech for a long time. They're a great company that's done some great things, and I'm very proud and happy to be a part of this this session today. So starting off, my name's Dave. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Socialistics, which is a social media marketing company. I'm also the CEO of Brightly, which is a retail technology startup. This is Socialistics here. We do organic, paid, and influencer marketing. We like to say likes don't pay the bills, real results do. We're a results-driven company, and we've found a lot of success in the social media marketing world. The next piece is I do Brightly, which is a retail technology startup. Brightly's creating one-of-a-kind smart lockers that have LCD screens in the front of them that provide dynamically brandable interaction between retailers and customers. So we're creating a whole new segment inside the locker vertical, and we've been able to have some great success. And today I'm going to show you a bit about branding and some of the Brightly brand book and how we developed that. So without further ado, let me talk a little bit more about, I've worked with different companies over the past couple of years. I've either built startups or worked in them. I've worked with companies like Target, Elwyn, Urban Bloom, and the Chainsmokers. And before I was building startups or working at them, I was a professional musician. I was on Atlantic and Universal, toured all over the country and Canada. And I like to think there's a lot of parallel between musicians and entrepreneurs. You have to have passion, you have to have drive. And one of the reasons why I love startups and I love founders so much is because of the passion and the drive. And it gets me excited to work with people. So let's jump in and talk a bit about why I'm here today and what we're going to talk about, which is how to build a brand while bootstrapping. Now, if you're like probably most people, where we don't have an unlimited supply of money, so it's really important to make sure that those resources go as far as we can get them to go. And doing that, we need to build a strong foundation to build on top of. And building your brand the right way from the ground up will save you a lot of time, effort, and money. So I'm going to get into a little bit about what a brand is to start. So what is a brand? This is, a lot of people think brand is logo, colors, fonts. And while that is part of a brand's much more of a feeling. Businesses have names, products, logos, colors, fonts, voices, and reputations that all make up what they are and then how they are effectively perceived. Branding done right truly lies with the feeling you elicit from others and what they believe your company stands for. So what are those things that drive the company? Those statements, which is the mission statement and the vision statement. These are like the North Star of the company. These are what everybody is driving at and towards. So there's a difference between the mission statement and the vision statement. The difference between a mission statement and a vision statement, it's easy to confuse the two of them. A mission statement and a vision statement, there's some important differences. A mission statement defines the company's business, its objectives, and its approach to reaching those objectives, while a vision statement describes where the company aspires to be in the future. So if we think about it like there's a goalpost down at the end of the field, that's the vision, that's where we're trying to go. And the mission statement's what drives us towards those goalposts. We can break it down like this: is a mission statement is operational, a vision statement is aspirational. So there's three parts to a great mission statement. And there were three components that make up a great mission statement. One, the mission and the purpose of the company. to the values. So at Socialistics, our values are kindness, generosity, intuition, trust, and freedom. That's what we expect from our coworkers, and that's what we expect from our clients, and we provide that in return. And it is a great culture. It's why we've had a ton of success. So those values are part of the company, and then your goals. So again, it's mission. Main reason the company exists, your values. What are the core values that drive everyday decision making? And the goals. What does the company hope to achieve by sticking to the mission and the values? I'm going to give you a couple of great examples here of some companies I'm sure everybody's heard of. Nike, mission and vision statement. So bringing inspiration and innovation to everyday athletes in the world. If you have a body, you're an athlete. That's their mission statement. And then their vision statement is driven by our passion for sport and our instinct for innovation. We aim to bring inspiration to every athlete in the world and to make sport a daily habit. Two great statements right there. And the next one we're going to show is Harley Davidson, another company I'm sure everybody's heard of. Do it very well. So Harley Davidson's mission statement is more than building machines. We stand for the timeless pursuit of adventure, freedom for the soul. And then their vision statement is design, engineer, and advance the most desirable motorcycles in the world, reflected in our quality, innovation, and craftsmanship. So we can see one is how they're operating, two is the vision that they have for the future, which is aspirational, design, engineer, and advance. So moving to the next slide here, I'd like to share this because this is pretty poignant. A 2020 study showed that consumers that think a company has a strong value proposition and a purpose, so driven, so this is where the mission statement and the vision statement come in. So they're in line with those missions and vision. They're 4 times more likely to purchase from the company. They're 4.5 times more likely to recommend the company to a family and friends. And they're 6 times more likely to defend the company in the wake of public criticism. And that last one's pretty powerful. I think we'd all love to have customers like this. Great. So what I wanted to do today was give everybody, I got a couple different activities that I was going to give people, but starting off, this is the first activity. Some people probably already have their mission and vision statement. And what I would say is go ahead and revisit it. Things change and evolve, and maybe there's ways to kind of retool it a little bit. So take the opportunity to do that now. And then if you do not have a mission and a vision statement, this is very critical. So you really do want to put these in place at the very beginning of your journey as a company. So first thing we'll do is we'll write down your mission. What's the mission of the company? What are the values and what are the goals of the company? And then the next thing I'd like you to do is take that and craft that into a mission statement. Remember, this is operational, how you're going to get here. And then after that, then write a vision statement of where you see the future. So what you're doing now, how you're doing it, that's going to drive you towards your vision statement, which is the future. So the next, so what I wanted to show you actually now is the mission and vision statement of Brightly. So the mission statement for Brightly is using technology to create moments of joy while bringing the smartest, safest, and most secure experience to customers, increasing confidence, trust, and delight with each pickup, deepening the bond between brand and customer. And then our vision statement is set the standard for elevated customer experience in the retail industry, continue to make the impossible possible through our retail technology. That's the vision, and that's our aspiration 3, 5, 8 years out. So we're going to come back over here and talk about the next activity. We're going to get to the next phase of this, which is talking and developing a brand voice. And in order to develop a brand voice, you need to have strong brand attributes. That dictates where you get your voice from. Brand attributes are what dictate characteristic and the personality of a brand. So is your brand strong, rugged, gentle, caring, silly, irreverent? These are all traits that can be used to describe a brand's attribute and guide the tone of voice and the messaging. Again, I'm going to give a couple quick examples of some people out there that are doing it great. Again, it's Nike here. Some of these, their attributes are innovative technology, high quality, stylish products, joy and celebration, maximum performance, inspiring, regionally involved, and globally responsible. And again, we'll stick with Harley Davidson here, which is rugged, strong, powerful, masculine, adventurous, rebellious spirits. And when you think about the brand Harley Davidson, it really exudes all those things when you interact with that both on and offline. To the next slide. So the next thing I would say, the activity we would be doing now is that if you don't have the brand attributes, well, you're going to have inconsistencies in how you push out and how you have tone of voice and messaging and the content that you create. And that's how people interact with you. So it's really important to get the consistency of content. So what I'd suggest doing is writing down 5 to 8 descriptors that align with your brand. So coming back over here, and I'll go give Brightly as an example again. These are the brand attributes of Brightly. We have trust, confidence, security, caring. We're smart, safe, ahead of the curve, proud. We're responsible, doing our part, healthy communities, happiness, disruptive, innovative, transparent, witty. Those are some adjectives, phrases used to describe Brightly and how we feel about the company and what we want to perceive, what we want the customers to perceive we are. So coming back over here, after you've written those down and you have 5 to 8, I mean, ideally, if you keep going, you probably could get like 10 to 15, kind of like the ones I just shared with you right there. But the next activity we're going to do is taking those men, putting them into brand attributes, which is finishing these sentences. Oops, skipping ahead. Finishing the sentences here. So we elicit, finish that. The customer feels, finish that. Our impact, finish that. And the X factor. So again, this really helps dictate tone of voice when you're working with companies like Socialistics, or when you have a marketing department. Everybody's going to need to understand what guidelines, the rails that you set up, that they're able to play inside with that messaging and tone. And this actually helps them do that very well. So coming back over here, Brightly's attributes are: we elicit trust, confidence, security, caring. The customer feels safe, smart, ahead of the curve, proud, delighted. I like that one. Our impact is better customer experience, responsible, doing our part. And we have the X factor: we're disruptive, we're innovative, we're tech-centric, and witty. So when you have those set and lined up, what we can do next is take those brand attributes and we can put them into an attribution cluster. So an attribution cluster is 3 phrases that are this. It's a message that is, so your company, and then it's put your company up here at the top. We're going to say a message that is, that gives a feeling of, and that results in. So coming back over here, I'll show you Brightly's brand attributes. Brightly we give a message that is confident, authentic, and disruptive, that gives a feeling of trust, positive energy, liberation, that results in loyalty, in the know, and amusement. So when we're creating content, these are our guide rails up to how we're creating content and how we're creating everything from the imaging, the messaging, the voice, the tone of voice. These are the rules we're setting here for how we're dictating that messaging and tone of voice as a brand, and how we stay consistent. Coming back over here, the next section we're going to get to too is being that we're bootstrapping, right? And resources, i.e. money, is a finite resource. We need to do the most with the least. So what we like to say at Socialistics is it's better to be in a few places and doing it well than in many places doing it mediocre. Again, that just comes down to even if you do have a giant budget, that still rings super true. It's better to be in a couple of places doing it really, really well than in many places doing it okay. So how do you find your channels? Well, we got to pay attention to who the customers are. And who knows the customers better than you guys as the founders. So who are your customers? Where do they hang out? Are in e-com brands, you know, you're probably more likely to be on Pinterest. You're more likely to maybe be on Instagram, obviously. That's a great one. TikTok, potentially. If you're, you know, a B2B compliance company, which we've worked with some tax compliance companies, you're more likely to be on LinkedIn. Find where your customers are, your ideal customers, where do they hang out? And if you are having trouble with that, what you can do is actually look at some of the competitors in the market. And if you're so unique that you don't actually have a competitor, look at industry adjacent. Find out where those people are going with similar interests and go meet them there. So what I would say, to give a couple of examples to show what I'm talking about here, is Harley Davidson. They did this fantastic. They created a company, they created this inside the company called HOG, which is Harley Owner Group. They built a community and a place for people to interact and go out and find events together. So I can show you right here. Again, here's Harley. Look at the branding, bold, adventurous. You get a little bit of that. You feeling the rebellious spirit here. And this is the Harley's owner group. So you can come in, join now, or become a member. If you're a member, log in. Again, looking over to their Instagram page, it's the same thing. Black, nice black, bold icons. The Harley icon here. We have great posts, all just beautiful bikes. Again, bold, rebellious, adventurous. So their branding is very consistent. That's really what you need to strive for as you're building that brand, is consistency. Moving back over to Nike. Nike is most active on Instagram and Twitter. Nike's also created an app called the Nike Run Club, where you can track the progress of your friends and family. So again, here we'll take a peek at this for the Nike Run Club. So Nike is joyous, self-empowering. We see the smiles on the faces, running, having a great time. This is, you know, this is all just text right on the nail, with nail on the head with the with the Nike logos and the Nike branding here. Self-empowering. Speaking of self-empowering, two great hashtags Nike has up at the top, which they're promoting. That's a big part of the Nike brand. And again, same thing, it's consistency, seeing consistency across all platforms. And that is, you know, that is such a key takeaway for today, is just creating, that's why we're building these foundations. You're creating the mission statement, you're creating the brand attributes. Again, because this is the foundation in which you'll build all the content off of in your messaging. Coming back over to this, what I would say is for one of the last activities we have is, we're going to list 2 to 3 places your customers engage with products and companies that are similar to yours. So again, what platforms are they on? Are they in a subreddit, you know, or is that where you're seeing the most activity with the customers? Are they on Instagram? Are they Facebook? You know, it varies from industry to industry and brand to brand. So strongly suggest finding 2 to 3 places that your customers go to engage with products that are similar to yours. Then the second piece is thinking about the brand attributes and tone of voice that we just listed earlier. List 2 or 3 types of content pillars on brand that your customers can engage with. So this would mean like informative content, witty, funny comments, funny content, educational. Some people like Tom Shoes has the 1-for-1 model, which was very altruistic, right? Giving back. What are those things what are those content pillars that make sense for your brand, and start to list those out and put them into their own buckets, because that's going to be how you set your next phase up of this, which is going to be your content calendars and beginning your outreach to the public. So the 3 key takeaways for today are: your mission and vision statement are the company's North Star. If you don't have them, please stop now and make sure that you actually take some time and carve this out, because it is the foundation. And without this, it's a boat without a rudder. So this is your North Star here. Define these clearly and align future actions to support this. Your brand attributes are what gives your brand its unique voice. It's going to dictate how you speak and how you guide content, messaging, and creatives, even when you're too big. And that's, we see a lot, as the CEO of a company, you get 10, 20, 50 people in there, and you're not going to be able to be paying attention to all the posts that go out, all the, anything that goes out as far as content and messaging. We have to have those guidelines set up. So creating those brand attributes and having that unique voice is what's going to keep your messaging consistent and on brand. The last piece is finding the right channels. Again, it's better to be in a couple places doing it well than many places doing it mediocre. Prioritize. So find out where that ideal customer profiles are, the ICPs we call them, and figure out where they're engaging and where they're engaging the most, and go meet them there. And I'd like to end my presentations all with a great quote. This is from Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. And that's very, I think that's very poignant for what we all do here as founders and startup employees and associates. So that is building a brand while bootstrapping. I'd love to take some questions and hear what you guys had to say.
That was a great presentation, Dave. Let's give our audience members a couple of seconds to send in the questions. Okay, so the first question is, what is an underrated channel that produces great engagement and results for e-commerce?
Okay, it's a great question. Pinterest. That's one of the channels we find that is surprisingly, you wouldn't maybe think that as much, but actually Pinterest shoppers spend twice as much money on Pinterest as they do on any other platform. I think the average order value on Pinterest is around $180, and on Facebook, which is second, it's about $80. So that's a giant one. People come there to interact with brands. They're coming there to discover things. So it's very much like Google. And speaking of which, when you're high up on Pinterest and the rankings on Pinterest, that actually increases your SEO and gives you better search.
All right, we have a question. Leveraging equity has become a popular way for business owners to trade equity for the expertise of their investors. Is it a right decision to leverage equity while bootstrapping?
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess the first answer I'm going to give is, like, as a startup, as a founder myself, it's, any way and every way to do it, right? It's better to have a little bit of something giant than 100% of nothing. So that kind of, that's how I'll start that comment off with. But, if you can, I think try to pay for it first. If you can't, then I think incentivize with equity. And then sometimes it's a blend of each. Like sometimes you can get really talented people, talented employees. You can work with talented agencies that may actually reduce their rates to a more affordable rate, and then in exchange for some equity. So I think that, those are a couple of ways that you might approach that. But, the way I started the answer, though, is still the way I'll finish it, which is, hey, any way and every way to get it done.
All right. Do you see more engagement with regional or global influences?
Do we see more engagement with what?
With regional or more global influences?
That's a great question. Wow. It really depends on the product and what it is. It really does. It depends on where they're at and where you're finding that customer. So, if it's a brand that sells digital goods online, yeah, global is great. If it's something that has to be a physical product that you need to get in person, I think regional is a bit better. It really does come down to what your brand is, what you're doing, and where your customers are. But again, we've worked with both ways, and I've seen it work well. And like I said, I think for digital products, something that doesn't need to, something that you can purchase online is much easier for, much better globally, whereas regionally, other products are more.
All right. What are some best practices for organic posting on social media?
Best practices for posting on social. Okay, this is great. So we see this a lot. I say there's a couple things. There's two main practices that we see people do wrong, which is one, content calendars, making sure you're posting consistently all the time. If people can't consistently come to a page and interact with your content, and they see that it's more than like a week old, that's just not a great look, and people are not going to stick around. People are not going to come back to what you're to your next content and the next things you're posting. So we'd suggest 3 times a week as a rule of thumb to post, maybe one story a week and 2 videos a month. And then number 2 is a content mix. So just posting the same types of things over and over again causes content fatigue. So we find that usually having 2 to 3 to 4 styles of creative in there help that engagement and help keep that engagement up. So what I mean by that is, let's say one piece of content in the week is something that's educational, that people can learn a bit about it, learn about your product, what you're doing. Maybe one of the other post is entertainment. So something maybe they get a little giggle out of, they get a laugh. It's not directly sales on, it's not head on with this. It's something where you're just trying to create a moment of joy in these people's lives. And maybe third is something that's like altruistic, or another pillar that makes sense with your brand. So altruistic, educational, informational. Those are different types of pillars that people will engage with, and I think that you need to have at least 2 and up to 4. And then I think after that, I think that just gets to be, there's too much noise. Then your content's so inconsistent, and then it's too all over the place. So I'd say between 2 and 4 is a sweet spot.
Okay. Which one's better between bootstrapping a company or seeking funds?
Oh, I like that question too. That's a great question. I like it, so I'm trying to I'm really going through a process here in my head of how to answer that problem. Okay, so here's how I would answer that. If you can bootstrap your own company, I would go ahead and do that, because the amount of time it takes to actually raise funds is about a bunch of time that you're actually not able to spend working on your product and moving forward. So if you can comfortably bootstrap your company, now if you're going to lose everything in your life and it's everything's going down the tube, don't bootstrap your company, because it's there's a chance that it's not going to work, right? But if you have the ability and the extra income to be able to bootstrap, 100% do that, because the quicker you can get to market, find your product market fit and your ideal customer profile, and start generating a small amount of revenue, you're going to be then in a position to really go out there and raise a good amount of money for the next round, if you even need it. Potentially the company could be doing so well that you might not even need to raise, but at least you'll be at a point where it makes a lot of sense, where you're able to show these investors and VCs your ideal customer profile, revenue, the fact that you have product market fit, and it gets much easier after that.
All right. What mistakes do you see companies make when they start to build a brand?
Good. It kind of goes off. It goes a bit off of what I was just saying before, which is having inconsistent posting and content. And I mean, posting, we don't have to necessarily say that it's just on social media. Wherever you're finding your customer and you're engaging with that customer, if there's not consistency there, then you're just really you're building it up, and then it's crumbling and going all the way. So you're consistently having to do all this hard work to get everything together, and then if you're not keeping it up, it will disappear overnight, over a small amount of time. And so that's it, consistency. So, and in a social media, manner, consistency with your content, always having a place where people can go, engage, get enlightened, get entertained, and become a part of your, the community and the brand that you were trying to build.
All right. Thank you, Dave, for answering. Those were some lovely answers. Anything that you would like to say to our audience to conclude the session?
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure being here. Again, I have such a passion for founders, a passion for building startups. This is hard stuff, but if it wasn't hard, everybody would be doing it. So those hard things are how you build moats around what you do. And I just say, be around great people, build a good team of people that you can trust and count on, and get up every day. And whether it's hard or whether it's, whether some days are hard, some days aren't, but you got to still just love what you're doing, because we're blessed with the ability to get a chance to do this. So keep that in mind.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.